I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
2 minutes fast.
We have a bid result tonight. All got copies of that bid? Got that copy right here. Trustee Menard, do you want to report on this?
Okay, we have 3 bids for the underground electrical for Champlain Street. We have 3 bid items and 3 bidders: Lindstrom Electric, Gotta Go Electric, and Champlain Valley Electric. Bid number 1, which was a PVC Schedule 40 piping and fitting. Lindstrom Electric bid $52,853.23. Gotta Go Electric bid $45,513.60. And Champlain Valley Electric bid $46,754.06.
You know about the gotta go bid? They left items out?
Yes. They did leave some of their quotes out. Bid item 2 was for the street lights, luminaries, and street light foundations. Lindstrom Electric was $19,500. Gotta Go Electric was $13,509.60. Champlain Valley Electric was $26,085.15. And bid item number 3 was glue and marking tape. Lindstrom Electric was $840.60. Gotta Go Electric was $534.90. And Champlain Valley was $1,201.04. I believe everybody has a copy of it.
Mayor Rivers,
Yes.
I went over this in great detail with Bob Clark today. We read the bid packet, and would you like me to give you Bob's recommendations?
Please.
Bid item number 1 is recommended because there were no deviations in it was completely intact, that you accept it from Champlain Valley in the amount of $46,754.06. Bid item number 2, it's recommended that you accept the one from Gotta Go Electric for $25,831.65. And bid item number 3, it's recommended that you accept the one from Champlain Valley because after looking into the difference in the marking tape, that is not the right tape. I mean, it didn't make any sense there being such a big difference. So the recommendations are bid item 1, Champlain Valley, bid item 2, Gotta Go Electric, bid item number 3, Champlain Valley.
Put that in form of motion.
Please.
Can we accept the bids
Second.
As stated.
as stated for the clerk?
A motion made and seconded. Is there any discussion? There being no discussion, all those in favor of the motion, vote by use of sign of aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carried. Open the meeting now to comments from the public. Anybody wishing to address the board at this time? There being nobody, we'll close it at this time. You'll have a chance at the end of the meeting. Minutes of the regular meeting and special meeting. We have them both, don't we? Of June 13th.
Make a motion, we accept the minutes as written.
Motion made and seconded. Any comments? Any discussion, I should say. I'm sorry. There being no discussion, all those in favor, vote by use of sign of aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carried. Okay, bills.
We don't have any additions or deletions.
Thank you, Mr. Treasurer. Any comments on the bills? If not, entertain a motion.
I make a motion to accept.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, any discussion? There being no discussion, all those in favor vote by the usual sign of aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carried. Correspondence.
We have only one piece of correspondence, that's from Clinton County Youth Bureau. It's urging you to contact our state legislatures and request them to support modernization bills. This is not a guarantee of an increase in funding, but it would get this cost of living increase into executive law and give us something to shoot for next year at budget time. I attached the legislative alert that they are talking about to this letter. And if the board is interested, I could draft a letter to all our assemblymen and our senators and advise them that they have your support to draft this legislation.
I think it'd be a good idea.
Make a motion.
I make a motion that we send it to all our legislators.
I'll second it.
Motion made and seconded, any discussion? They ain't had a raise since 1991? Wow. No discussion, all those in favor vote by usual sign of aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carried. Report, mayor and trustees. First item on my agenda is to declare ladder truck and word processor surplus, but I believe the fire department does not want to surplus the ladder truck at this time. They still say it's in service.
So we have 2 ladder trucks in service?
The other one's not in service. So I've been told. Also, we're surplusing fax machine. The new fax machine is in. So I declare them surplus. Do what we have to do to get rid of them, whether we advertise for bids or whatever. A word processor too.
The word processors, I can tell you right now, are worth nothing. But I can't get rid of them until they are declared surplus. They just don't work. But they have served us well, and they are ready to be rested.
I don't need a motion to surplus this.
Well, yeah, you might,
Okay.
you could.
All right.
So then we're basically talking about the fax machine.
The fax machine we can advertise.
Still work very good, except it uses some cartridges.
It's plain paper fax, but we have to be honest, and it takes expensive cartridges to operate it.
Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and second, surplus the following equipment, word processor and fax machine. Any discussion? There being no discussion, all those in favor vote by usual sign of aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carried. I'm going to authorize the clerk to publish legal notice, public hearing on local, notice of public hearing on local law number 4, and that's the tax exempt for handicaps, disabled. Not. Need a motion on that, Deb?
Yes, I do.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, any discussion? There being no discussion, all those in favor vote by the usual sign of aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carried. That's it, no, got 2 things. 2 quickies. Seeing that this is our last meeting before the 4th of July, the program is out, and as you know, there's no paper this year, so we're gonna try to get some free advertising. Starts Thursday, January 29th, or January. July 29th,
June 29th.
yeah,
June 29th.
June 29th, yeah, I'll get there in a week, at 5 p.m. And that's the flea market, concession stands and amusements, and all the stuff. Everything will be here on the rec center grounds this year. Then Friday, June 30th, opens at 4 p.m. Saturday, July 1st, opens at 2 p.m. There's several things taking place with different entertainments at night. And then, of course, Sunday, the chicken barbecue, which will be here at the rec center. Being sponsored by the fire department instead of in the fire station this year. And of course, the parade at 7 p.m. Line dancers are going to be performing. There's some Charles Mac, good, and Jonathan Shulman played folks blue music. And anyway, the 4th of July planning committee would like to thank everybody who participated and congratulate the winners of their raffle. It was a great success and allowed more entertainment and upgraded fireworks this year. If anybody wants a copy of this,
On floor.
it's on the floor. Also, the Senior Housing Committee has got a raffle going on. They need to raise some money very quickly to pay for some expenses that are going to be the committee's expenses that will not come out of the grant that we're getting. So if anybody approaches you with a ticket, please be generous and help them because they really need it. They got some bills to pay. And that's it for me. Trustee Moore.
Well, I have a report from the Robert Clark, Public Works. The Public Works, Nelson, Jr., Jerry, and Bob have been working on gate valves, repairing catch basins, getting ready for the paving. Also working on the storm drain in back of Woodhaven and the South End storm sewer project. Miscellaneous repairs throughout the village. The electrical department, Tim attended school in Syracuse for line training course. Working on taking down services on Smith Street to complete the underground project. And the central garage, miscellaneous repairs to the village vehicles and equipment. That's it. That's it.
Thank you, Trustee Moore. Trustee Dupra.
I have an authorization to travel request from Justice Herzog and Clerk Twain for the justice training held annually in Canton. They have provided me with completed authorization to travel requests. I would recommend and put before the board that the request be accepted.
I'll second it.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? There being no discussion, all those in favor vote by the usual sign of aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carried.
I have an abbreviated water plant work report from Chief Water Plant Operator Gary Malinsky. As you know, Gary has been out on sick leave and he has returned effective June 13th for light duty. That basically indicates that he can do a lot of the paperwork that needs to be done, so we're glad to have him back on light duty. His report, as I said, is abbreviated, and he hopes to have a more complete report once he has the opportunity to get back into the swing of things. And we hope that he will be able to get as much paperwork done before he needs to go back out on disability. And I thank him for this report. Next item on the agenda, we need to have a short discussion on the non-medical insurance quotes. As you may recall, we contracted with a consultant to put together a bid package for us. That has been done. However, the timing on it is unfortunate in that it doesn't really give the various insurance agencies time to adequately prepare a bid quote for the package. We have had some minor discussions regarding this, and it was my recommendation that we not attempt to bid the non-medical insurance this year, that we wait and put the bid package out in, say, February or March of next year, so that we can have, we can afford the agencies adequate time to prepare their response to the bid. There are some advantages and disadvantages. We could continue with the insurance that we have now. There would be a penalty if we waited and accepted a new bid. We can, as I said, continue to go with the insurance coverage that we have now and wait till next year, and at that rate, there would be no penalty, which once again is my suggestion to the board. And if there are any questions, I will attempt to answer them at this time.
Just one comment that Elaine and I had discussed this before, and we have a July 1 deadline for our insurance policy, that's why we're waiting.
Any questions from the board? You can put that in form of motion.
I'll put that in the form of motion that we retain the current contract that we have this year for our non-medical insurance, and that we go out to bid for the year 2001 with our new bid package. It will need to be updated somewhat at that time, but it's my understanding that that is a relatively simple process.
Does that cost more to update?
No.
No.
Second.
Motion made and second. Any discussion? There being no discussion, all those in favor, vote by the usual sign of aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carried.
I wish to make just a few comments on my recent attendance at the NICOM conference.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I know George will have a few comments to make. I attended several of the sessions. I usually like to attend the sessions on ethics and conduct. As personnel committee chair, I feel that that's important that I keep updated on ethics, conduct, and the civil service aspect of the village. The other meeting that I went to that I gleaned at least one interesting fact from was on web pages, municipal web pages. There was a gentleman there, his name evades me right now, however, I did write it down, and I do have his card and his address. He currently works out of the controller's office. He works for Carl McCall, and he's apparently very experienced in creating web pages for municipalities. What he indicated, there was some type of legislation that was passed and goes into effect, I believe, in September of this year, that requires municipal web pages to be handicap accessible. And I understand that this is for visually handicapped individuals. So I think it's important that we check with our consultant who is preparing our webpage to make sure that they are aware of this
So it's
law
going to have
and
sound.
provision. I'm not sure what it needs to have, George. But I would
I
hope
don't
that,
think you can get Braille out on them screens.
I don't know.
I would think that's what it would be.
I don't know what they mean by handicap accessible. But as I said, I would hope our consultant who is working on our webpage would be aware of that. If not, we may need to update our request.
I don't believe so.
I think that's new to everybody.
If you want, I have you.
I think we need to get those two parties down and
Yeah.
discuss that.
I have the information on my notes from the conference, but I thought that was kind of important. I don't have any other comments from the conference. Do you want to make some comments now, George? or
Yes,
you wanna-
please. Thank you, Elaine.
You're
That
welcome.
totally slipped my mind. Attended a session on code enforcement and what's going to take place in the next 2 years. What a mumbo jumbo mess we're going to be in. The state of New York is adopting a uniform code throughout the country. In other words, the code will be the same in New York as it is in California. The sad news is, if you're a code enforcement officer, you've got to go back to school. The good news is, they're going to try to regionalize it. In other words, the Clinton Community College could be putting a course on, I think it's 2 separate weeks, 2 days, or 3 days. I'm not quite sure. He had mentioned what they're going to do. If you are going to be a new code enforcement officer. There is no retroactive schooling going on, so it'll be like 3 years before you can get certified. If you drop your certification, there's possibility you can be recertified. You won't be able to do a thing unless you're certified to new code. And they were, some of the questions that went around that rule was amazing. What if my code enforcer don't want to do it? Then you're not going to enforce the code, and somebody else is going to enforce it for you. You know, and these were the answers that they were getting. But anyway, it's coming next year. I think 2001, the schedule will be out by September of this year, where the code enforcement officers are going to have to go. So that's the one I wanted to attend, the one on the fire department, the volunteer managing volunteer fire departments, but I could not because I had to leave there Tuesday morning, go to Syracuse. That was the code one was really interesting. I thought it'd be boring, but the guy was really good. He knew his stuff. And he used to be an ex-Department of State Office of Fire Prevention and Control, and you know him, Jim.
Jiggy?
No. This guy was a teacher at the State Fire Academy. And now there was strictly this code thing. That was the one session I attended. Unfortunately, I said Tuesday, and it was a long one. Tuesday I was not there. Okay. Are you done?
No, I'm
you're
not.
No, you're not. You've got a good one coming.
I saved the best to last. We need to have some discussion regarding updating our travel policy. As you know, we adopted some specifics as far as our travel policy was concerned some time ago. At that time, we instituted the procedure of needing to fill out a travel request authorization prior to any travel being completed, and I think this has helped our office personnel in being able to follow what's going on, and who's going where, and how much they're going to need as far as authorization for costs and funds. We have run into some glitches. Maybe there are some of these policies or some of the language that needs to be refined a bit. I think the main problem that we have encountered lately regards reimbursement for the meals allowance. Once again, as I said, I think we probably just need some additional or more defined terminology in the policy. The meal allowance as it stands now is $30 per day. I think we need to indicate that that is not cumulative. In other words, if you go for 3 days, that doesn't mean that you can spend nothing for 2 days and $90 on the third day. It's $30 per day. And basically, this policy was put into effect to assist our employees who found it necessary to go outside the village for training or whatever the necessity is. We're not trying to penalize anybody, we're not trying to belittle anybody, we're not trying to starve anybody. However, there need to be parameters set so that we're all working by the same rules. So as I said, that was one problem that we basically ran into was, I guess some individuals thought that they could save up their chits and use them all in one day. That is not what the intention of the policy is, and I think we need some clarification there. The other area that we're having some difficulty with is the credit card. It would be my position that village credit card seldom leaves this village, only under periods of necessity does it leave this village. If an individual is going to be sent for training or whatever the purpose is, sent out of the village and needs either lodging or food. If that individual does not have the funds himself or herself, then I suggest that we give them an allowance, give them an advance. Once again, within the parameters of the policy. I don't think that the MasterCard should be used by everybody and everyone. I just don't think it's necessary. I think we ought to be checking with some of these hotels as well to see if we can voucher the payments rather than once again having the MasterCard leave the village. And I think if we refine some of the items within our policy, then we can also eliminate some of the problems. The other problem is when we have, once again, training where an employee is staying for 3 or 5 or 10 or 15 days, whatever the case may be, and we're offered a range of hotels for that individual to stay, that once a particular hotel is selected, that the individual should stay with that hotel, unless it, for some reason, is totally unsuitable. And once again, I don't mean to be hard-hearted. This is not a vacation. This is training and education. We're not sending our employees out of the village to sun themselves at the pool or bask in the sauna, or if they have the time and the opportunity to do that, I think that's fine. However, their main purpose in our providing this availability of training for them is for them to learn and be educated and come back to the village and put that knowledge into work. I think we really need to, perhaps Ron and myself as personnel committee need to sit down and go point by point through this policy and make some suggestions as to how we think it could be fine-tuned and upgraded to better service the needs of the board. And I would also suggest that perhaps Arsene would sit down with us at that time. At the same time, I would also request the other members of the board to review the policy and provide any suggestions that you might have regarding any revisions. Are there any comments that anyone wishes to make now?
The only thing I have, Elaine, is I'm just sitting here thinking, like you said, compensate the people for, if they don't have the money. I agree with you that the card should be limited to its use. The only suggestion I would have is if you allow them for $30 a day, then they have to come back with 3 receipts per day,
That's required.
right? But if you give them money, they're gonna say, okay, I don't want like breakfast, and I'll kind of skip lunch, and I'll have a big dinner and the same thing. So that's what I'm saying, they must have 3 receipts for their money, for the $30.
I understand what you're saying, but they still have to provide the receipts. It's just in advance, and then they
Right.
have to account for
Right, right.
money that they did or didn't spend, and then put in their voucher for the difference. They would still have to, I agree with you, they would still have to provide the necessary documentation. Yeah. So is there a time that you would like to do this, Ron?
Next week, anytime.
Next week, anytime? I'll get with you after the meeting and we'll find out from our team what might be a good time.
Any other comments from the board? Okay, so this, you'll probably have this ready for next meeting, July 1?
July 1.
July 3rd.
What?
July 3rd.
Third.
I knew the first one, right? July 1st is on Saturday.
Really good job.
Page number 1.
And as I said, I would appreciate it if the rest of the board would review the policy and provide us with any suggestions that you might have for refining it or upgrading it. I would also request that if any of the employees have a real problem or a concern, that they provide that problem or concern to us so that we can address that at the same time. We're basically not the ones that are using this policy, so maybe we're not the ones that know where the glitches are in it.
I think you're gonna
There's
find a
something-
glitch with hotels, that they're not gonna take vouchers.
Um,
I think you're gonna find it. I'm not, just from experience that I've had, they want that credit card. They know that way they're going to get their money.
I spoke with several people in the county, and from speaking with them, they basically voucher everything.
If you make-
Maybe the county's got a better
Well, no,
rating than.
no, if you make rearrangements, you might,
Yeah,
you know.
but I think we need to look into it. Okay, I believe that's all I have this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, trustee Gilbert. Trustee Burke. Sorry, trustee Menard. Excuse me.
Sorry.
I'm having a bad night.
I have a resolution for bad electrical debts. Whereas certain customers' accounts are deemed uncollectible by the village, and whereas it is advisable to write off these accounts off our books, therefore be it resolved that the attached list of accounts be written off effective May 31st, 2000. This resolution shall take effect immediately. The question foregoing was duly put to roll call vote.
It's a formal motion.
I'll second it for discussion.
Any discussion?
I understand that this needs to be done so that Arsen can close out the books for the year. I would just like you to review with us what steps then you take to attempt to collect.
It's my understanding that these people will no longer get electrical as long as they have an outstanding debt, right?
Are any of these people still residing within the village?
No,
Okay,
they are, we don't know.
okay.
And
These are people that have moved out.
they will no longer be allowed to put electrical in their name. We still keep a record of their names.
They
Right.
have ways around it.
I guess the question I have too is I see a lot of residential customers here who are well above $400 and $500. When do we terminate electrical service? I mean, why, can we pass a resolution so that we don't get one or two, more than 1 month behind schedule
If-
for these people?
If it's in the wintertime, we cannot terminate electrical service. But after April 20th, we can, right? Am I right? 15th? Okay.
And from October to,
October, April 15th, October 15th.
Have we done that?
so you can go.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You want to be around the office sometimes.
I mean, we're looking at, writing off $7,100 in bad
Well,
debts here, that's.
You know my feelings, I made it known every year.
I know. Yeah, this is a
I
conversation.
do a very slow burn writing off bad debts. I believe, and I still believe, that this could be, and there is a policy, the city of Plattsburgh does it now, that most of these are renters. That they could be put on the homeowner, and he could collect, he or she could collect a deposit. And if they don't pay, then they pay the electric bill, and it can be done. It's been done, and I got copies of it. Just like we do with the water and sewer. It goes on to the taxes. That's actually what happens. Yeah. To write off every year $7,000 to $9,000 in bad debts for electric, as far as I'm concerned, is a burden on every other ratepayer in this village. It's not fair. My statement every year. We just don't want to do anything about it, I guess.
To let you know, it's $592 less than last year.
Oh, thank you.
I thought I'd throw that in.
Any other discussion?
No, but I do agree, I think it's time that we look into some sort of a resolution to take care of this somehow.
It's just not
Because
right.
this is getting passed on to every other resident in the community, and that's not right. Can we check with NICOM? Or they?
We have gotten that
I
copies.
have a sample of the local law,
Then let's pass it on to our attorney.
and I'll put a copy of it into your basket. The village is spinning out and let's pass the local law, and they sent to us a copy of it.
When our electric rates are going up, we don't need to be picking somebody else's bed up.
Amen. Okay, any other discussion? Not be a roll call vote. Trustee Moore?
Aye.
Trustee Dupra?
Aye.
Trustee Menard?
Aye.
Trustee Burke?
Aye.
Mayor votes aye. Reluctantly.
And my second item on the agenda is I'd like to make a motion that we authorize the clerk to publish legal notice for a public hearing of local law number 3, which I believe is the amending chapter for the zoning of the village of Rouses Point and land use districts and map.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? There being no discussion, all those in favor vote by the usual sign of aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carried.
And that's all I have for this evening.
Thank you, Trustee Menard. Trustee Burke.
First item on my agenda is the monthly wastewater treatment plant report from Tom Reed for the month of May. One of the big items on there is that about 405 tons of sludge have been removed from the plant, and that's good news to get that out of there before the heat really starts to make things rancid down there. The second item, which didn't make it to the agenda, I forgot to call Bev this morning. I met with our web designer on Friday evening. And we have a few things that I'd like to just put out to the board. I'd like to try to get 5 pages of this off to her next week so she can get that designed and up and running. There might be obviously now some kinks to those plans. One of the things that she needs to know is what do we want for our address? Do we want to go with just Rouses Point or some other abbreviation? My initial thought was stick with rousespoint.whatever.gov. Does that make sense? The other thing that we talked about is the idea that we'd like to get some tourism type things on there, listing the restaurants, listing the motels that we have, and any of the other amenities that might be offered to marinas. If the board was so willing to put them on and possibly put a picture of each one and a short description. Go out to each one, ask them for a description of their services, a short 1 or 2 word thing that could go along with the picture. Now, I wasn't quite sure if that's crossing the line between government and enterprise, but I think it would benefit all the taxpayers here. Come along with
Wouldn't you normally link that site to something else?
it. We could link,
Chamber of Commerce's site?
yeah, you're right, we could link to the Chamber of Commerce if the Northern Tier put a website up. And that's our current problem right now, is the Northern Tier doesn't have one.
But the Plattsburgh
Plattsburgh Chamber,
Chamber, North Country Chamber
right?
has a website.
So if
And
we-
that's where she's the one that designed that
So if
one.
we can make sure that those businesses are located on that, then that's fine.
Take it.
Or inform them.
Or inform them, okay. All right, then I think that's the route we'll take, we'll inform the businesses. Maybe I can get that to them, we can get those mailed out, so that they know this is coming. The other thing that we talked about is possibly putting online permits, such as building permits or applications for that in case people can't get down during business hours, as well as work orders. Say if there's a street light out, people could, if they wanted to, around the internet, they could just drop a note to us telling us where something needs to be addressed. Or email the mayor.
Applications would be a problem.
Those
With the application on there.
Right.
That wouldn't be a problem because it's just an application.
Right,
It's not a permit.
right. Okay. Well, we'll get working on that in the next 10 days and hopefully have some of that up and running. And that's all that I have.
Any word from Mark Reynolds? What?
Mark Reynolds, well, you know he got his bond,
Yeah.
and I thought he would be here by now. but,
Maybe we ought to check into that.
okay.
Is that it?
Yeah, that's all I have.
Thank you, trustee Burke. Oh. Deb, do you have any words of wisdom for us tonight?
No, not tonight.
Thank you. Arson.
I'd like to have the board permission to sign a service contract with Data Tech Associates Limited. It's a 25-hour professional services contract, so I passed out to you earlier. This saves us $20 an hour over what we pay now, and this is a budgeted item.
How much we paid them last year?
More than that.
I know, they were, that's why I asked. Have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we
I'll second.
allow Arson.
Motion made and seconded, any discussion? There being no discussion, all those in favor, vote by the usual sign of aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carried. That it?
Also, on those same lines too, we have a meeting tomorrow with Harris Computers, Data Tech Associates, and ourselves to hopefully work out the problems that we've been having because we keep losing data. We have the president and the vice president of Harris Computers coming down, and George is going to be at that meeting. The meeting's tomorrow at 10 o'clock. If anybody wishes to attend it, they're more than welcome to.
That it, sir? Robert?
Did the board get all the information that I gave them on the complaints,
Yeah.
buildings and whatnot?
Mhm.
Okay, first I'll start with 50 Rose Avenue. The 20 days that has elapsed. And I'll be conferring with Attorney Renee as to what action we'll take further, because the gentleman is out of town that owns the property. On the next item, at 87 Lake Street, Doug and I met with the owner of the property, and the front porches, that work is in progress, and I also discussed the complaint, the written complaint with the gentleman, and I gave him a demolition permit application to put in for those structures in the back of his building. On Pratt Street, on Delaware and Hudson Station, I also had a complaint on that, and I went up and made an inspection of it, and if the board would like me to proceed, I gave all the information to you. I believe you have the information on that. If you'd like me to proceed, if you'd like to make a motion, I'll go ahead and proceed for Chapter 72. To make a motion. What that does is I'll be sending them information, telling them that there is a write-up on it, and they'll have 20 days to get an engineer, an architect, or a practical builder to meet with myself, and if you will, also appoint Bobby Clark as the second person according to our village code.
So moved.
Second.
And motion made and seconded, any discussion?
It would seem that if they continue in the path that they're going on this, that no response, we might be forced to order demolition.
Well, yeah, what we'll do is we'll go through the process.
Right, I mean, I'm just thinking
Yes.
down the road, if they continue to do nothing,
Then I think that's what they're looking for.
Right, it would either be demolition, or we could repair it and put it on their taxes, if the board wished to have somebody repair it. You can either
is that on
demolition.
the
Yeah.
historic site registry?
We haven't done nothing with it because
Right.
we can't get the property. Yeah,
I
These people
don't know if it's
refuse
on
to
their
comment.
historical site or not. I don't believe it is, but I honestly don't know. And on the next one,
Wait a minute. Don't go too fast.
Okay,
I have a motion on the floor, to discussion here.
I'm sorry.
Any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion, vote by the usual sign of aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carried. Now, continue.
Then the next one, the apartments on 5 and 7 Montgomery Street. I also have a written complaint, and I also need a motion to proceed per chapter 72, and a motion to have Bob Clark be the second person. And once again, I'll do my best on all of these to try and resolve them, hopefully. I have to treat everybody alike, and I have to follow, the written complaints.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? No discussion, all those in favor, vote by the usual sign of aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carried. That it?
That's it.
Douglas?
Two things. Just on the library steps, we're expecting quotes this Friday, and so then we'll see how much they'll cost and when the contractors can get to them. So I'll report on that at our next meeting. And also on the underground electric for Champlain Street and Lake Street. This week, we're anticipating finishing the plans and the details so that we can get a final package into the DOT to get our permit so we can begin that work, hopefully later this month, early next.
Okay, thank you. Tim? That's it. I open the meeting to the public for discussion. Nobody wants to discuss? We're open for adjournment.
So moved.
I'll second.
Motion made, second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.